Welcome to the North East Local Area Committee meeting tonight. Good evening, everyone. Today's meeting is open to the public and a warm welcome to you all for your attendance. Happy New Year as well. My name is Councillor Safiya Saeed and I am the chair of this local area committee. We are trailing a new way of delivering our public meetings following feedback from residents. We recently held a successful informal engagement event in the community and we have moved the democratic formulas on the agenda to the town hall. Before I ask other councillors to introduce themselves, I would hand over to Philippa Bernadette, Democratic Services, to read out the housekeeping arrangement. Philippa?
Thank you, Chair. Evening, everyone. The meeting today is open to the public. There are no items that contain exempt information. The meeting will be webcast and the recording will also be available for people to view later through the Council's website. It is also possible that Sheffield Live TV will record and rebroadcast this meeting. Please can I request that mobile phones and other such equipment are switched to silent mode so as not to disturb the conduct of the meeting. There's no fire test planned for today. If there is an emergency evacuation, please take instruction from the Town Hall staff. The assembly point is in Tudor Square. Thank you.
Thank you, Philippa. Can I ask members and officers present to introduce themselves, please? Should we start with Talib?
Councillor Talib Hussain, Councillor Belbin Ward.
Councillor Mark Jones, Burngreave Ward.
Philippa Bernadette, Democratic Services.
Lindsey Hill, North East Light Manager.
Mike Chaplin, Councillor for Southey Ward.
Councillor Gareth Slater, also Southey.
Thank you. Before we proceed with the agenda, I would like to explain how the meeting will work. First, we will deal with the formal business and apologies, declaration and minutes of last meeting. We will then move to the item of the North East Local Area Committee Budget Report, which will be introduced by the Community Service Manager. There will then be an opportunity for discussion, debate, and members of the committee will be asked to agree the recommendation of the report. Finally, we will have a public question and answer sessions. Thank you. Item 2, apologies for absence.
We have apologies from Councillors Fran Belbin, Nikki Belfield, Dawn Dale and Mark Rusling.
Item 3, exclusion of the public and press. There are no items that requires the exclusion of the public and press. Item 4, declaration of interest. Do any members wish to declare interest in any of the items of the business on the agenda? That's a no. Item 5, minutes of the previous meetings. Hello, Abdul. Would you like to introduce yourself, please?
You for Firth Park?
Thank you. Can I ask the members to approve and as a correct record the minutes of the last meeting held on the 8th of October 2024, please? Agreed? Thank you. Item number 6, North Local Area Committee Budget. Lindsey Hill will now give us an update of the North East Local Area Committee Budget. Thank you, Lindsey.
Thank you, Chair. Good evening, everybody. Following the meeting that we had in October, we had some feedback around the spend report, so that's been slightly amended. It's only the format of the report, but hopefully it'll be much more transparent around the spend and where we're at. This report is to give details on the expenditure since the last report, which was given in October. It gives a total of £32,991 and none of the items exceeded the £10,000 delegated authority that we have. The items are detailed in section 1.2 of the spend report. The remaining available budget is 69,221, which is in the report, and there's an appendix that gives details of any projects that we're proposing for this next period. There's no new projects in there, they're the same projects that we proposed at the last report. And the committee I'm asking for today is just to note the expenditure under the delegated powers against the like budget. Thank you.
Note the expenditure under delegated powers against the 102,212 budget to address local priorities in the North East LAC as detailed in the report. Item number 7, public questions and petitions. No public questions or petitions have been submitted to us in advance of this meeting. I would now like to invite questions from the floor. When you ask your question, please state your name and which area you're from. If we are unable to answer any of the questions tonight, we will provide a written response, in which case can you please leave us some details to contact you. Thank you for attending this meeting tonight. Oh, not yet. Thank you. So any questions on the floor? I would like to go back to item number 6. Can we get the members to approve or disapprove the budget, please, or any questions towards that? Gary? Approving. Anybody agree or disagree? Or can we get a show of hands? Question? Mark Jones, go ahead.
Yeah. Thank you, Chair. Obviously, we've had snow, which happens every year, and the pavements are not getting gritted or anything like that of that nature. It's been an ongoing issue for us. We're trying to encourage active transport across our ward. We're expecting people to go out and cycle, walk. Under these adverse weather conditions, not only is it hazardous for drivers, but it's also hazardous for pedestrians. We've got our road improvement stuff. As part of maybe next year, could we explore what we could do about maybe looking to grit pavements or to enable people to be remaining active and secure? I know Margaret's here, but her other Margaret twin isn't here because she's informed us she had a fall recently. So it is affecting many of our voluntary sector and community leaders. So if we could look at that through the next year, that would be really appreciated.
Yes, certainly can. We're trying to do a forward plan of project ideas for this next coming year. We're working closely with environmental services anyway and looking at the offer and how we work together on the projects. We have got contracts obviously with AMA and Streets Ahead on what they should be doing, and I know there's been some comments around the grit boxes and gritting, but we're certainly going to work with them more next year and look at maybe volunteers and how we can better deliver in the area and what we can do. Thank you.
Thank you. Any more questions? Talib, should we take your question first?
Well, it's just a little clarification. If you can, Dark Knight's activities, the additional match funding, which groups have had the funding? So if you can explain, have information in hand.
So for Dark Knight's activities, we had around £8,000 allocated from the like 100k, and I'm looking over at Jackie now, but we had about, I think, how much was it from Safer Partnership Board, I think it was, sorry, just let me check. Safe Sheffield, who give us a contribution. What we did, they put the money into our budget and then we paid out the grants. So we have got some that was paid by that money and some that was paid by ours. But overall it came to 7,162. So the remaining of the £8,000 that we'd allocated to it, minus the 1,150, went back into the pot of the like money, which is going in the next proposed projects. We've got on our information on the Have Your Say, which we can provide. There's a breakdown of the groups that we'd give the money to as well for grants. There are about 6 of them.
Thank you. Margaret, would you like us?
Yeah, it's more of a, well, it's a question, but where's all the grit bins gone? They've all disappeared around Burngreave, around our area that I cover. They, you know, you want to go and get a bit of grit to clear your path and everything, but the bins aren't there to get any. So, if you can tell me if they're liable to be replaced, at least at the top of the hilly roads would be a help.
Sorry, Chair, okay to come in? Yep.
Yes, please.
Yeah. So, Margaret, we've had this fed back to us quite a few times. I know on our website, and we can help you with this, you can actually look at the grit boxes and then request a grit box around where you are. We've done this for some people. Now, they do an assessment on where they are within the remit, but if you want to give us details of where they are, we can work with the environmental team to raise that and make sure that they've got that through on their proposed list of. I think at the minute, because of what's happened, as Councillor Jones said, about the pavements and things, it's highlighted it more about the grit boxes across the whole area and where some have disappeared where you thought they were. So there's a map on there that tells you where they all are as well, so we can have a look at that. Okay.
Thank you very much. Jane Dunn?
Yeah, thank you. I'm going to bring this up on Monday. I went out, had my councillor surgery, did 2 of those and then went off to a community meeting. I'm picking up on what Councillor Jones was saying about the pavements. The main feedback that I'd been having was that even the community groups couldn't get out to help people because the pavements were. So I totally understand, and the grit bins, there was a strict criteria put in place, part of the cuts that came from the then Tory government, and it was all to do with the topography and the steepness. However, when we are asking and pushing for active travel, more walking, cycling, don't use your car, then I think we need to look. And there's plenty of times that I feel we wouldn't qualify in my ward of Southey because it's extremely flat in an awful lot of the areas where a lot of people that are elderly live. Then there are the very hilly bits where there are the grit bins. So the need to be able to access doesn't always go with the gradient of the road. So round Margeston's extremely flat, but there was also a lot of people that were held what they felt hostage at home. And the community groups couldn't get out to go and check on them because it was too. So I think we need to look at some way of that the people that need to help these people have access to grit so that they can actually help that. Because I know that if you live in an affluent area, we've got a cost of living crisis, go and buy your own grit, that's fine. If you can't hardly afford to put the heating on or you need to buy your kids some new shoes, you're not going to be able to buy grit, and to be safe shouldn't depend on whether you can afford it. So I understand, so I would like us to look at some way of having access to do with the, with our IMD, with that, how we can make sure that when the weather gets bad, this protocol kicks in, and that we know the most vulnerable, or if you are poorly, that somebody can get to you and get food so that you don't risk having an accident. Because if we're going to have more cases of this, then we need to look ahead. So that was just an idea. Or even looking at only gritting one side of the pavement. So if people could get across, you knew one side was clear. So I think we need to put these options through moving forward.
Thank you very much, Councillor Dunn. We have a question with you. Can you state your name and where you're from, please? Thank you.
Association. I agree with Margaret about the grit bins. We've got hardly any in our area. I think I'm only aware of 2 for the whole estate. The other thing I want to bring up is what is happening to the land on Bellhouse Road, the old works depot, and what are you going to do about the amount of fly tipping that's going on in Firth Park? What's going to happen? Because I read the part where it says you listen to the community, but if you're listening to the community, you're doing all things we don't want, like more trees and things like that. Surely we want just basic stuff, and that's about clearing the fly tipping and better lighting and, not, and you know, getting rid of the rats. And I find it ironic that we're covered with takeaways at Firth Park when we've got a life expectancy which is really low, and we should be looking at health, not giving more licensing to takeaways. It's ridiculous. And I just think perhaps as councillors you could look at that for future, because if you're really listening to us, they're the things we want, basic things like fly tipping, making sure that there's access, you know, it's safe access, not overgrown areas, clear the areas, make it much nicer, because at the moment it's really drab in Firth Park. Thank you.
Thank you very much. I'll let Lindsey answer that. Thank you.
Yeah, I agree. There's much to be done, I think, is really the answer. So we've kind of done some work on fly tipping around targeting some of the hotspot areas. But what I would say is the amount of money that we've got and what we can do is quite minimal in the impact. It's impactful on the area that we're doing it in. So an example would be that we pay for the environmental stewardship, which has come partly from the LAC. We've got some younger people going out with a supervisor from AMA, and they're clearing areas, and they could be a flight. If you just let me finish, Silvana. I do understand your frustration. I totally do. We've got them clearing areas that are being highly fly tipped. We've done some into community gardens, but like I say, it's a bit of a coin in an ocean in some ways in what we're trying to do. What we are doing is working closely in bringing some of these initiatives on to try and target them. We're working with pest control to look at rats and some of the initiatives that they're trying to do. We're looking at playgrounds and parks and what they're doing in there and trying to look at it as a whole park, so they don't just look at the pest in the park or the playground in the park. They're actually looking at the whole thing and what that means to people and what we can do. So in areas like Firth Park, the businesses, we're working with business information officers and licensing around maybe some of the takeaways and what we've got on there, and being a responsible business owner and looking after your own front of your shops. There's quite a bit of work going on behind the scenes, but like I say, we know that in residents living in there, it's not as much as what it could be. We've done a lot of work in trying to make it look nicer, planters, things like that, but we know what really matters to people is the environmental issues that you're coming across. Yeah, same with the housing estates as well, in what we're trying to do. Yeah.
And the groups that Claire have started, the environmental group.
Yeah, we've started a green network up, which Claire's lead on our community services officer as well, to bring together a lot of the litter picking groups. We've also got on their allotments, anybody who's interested in environmental issues or green areas across the North East area.
Can I just say that there is another meeting for the Green Group, and Claire is advertised the second meeting. She's next to you, Sylvan, right next to you there. So if you want to ask her some, and maybe join the group that is, and highlight whatever specific areas especially that you would want, that would be very helpful as well. Yeah, that's fine. And we want some, the officers as well, to raise it with the council of what you've just said as well. Thank you. The housing issues, especially the housing department. Thank you. Any other questions on the floor? Jane?
Yeah, could I make a suggestion? Sure. I know the issues that you're talking about is a number of takeaways, and I know there's been a lot of press about cumulative impact, policies moving forward. I don't know whether that's been looked at in Waste and Street Scene, so could we ask them to maybe look at that, because that would be a way that would be done, and I know it's something that Manchester have used, or I think it's Manchester, it's somewhere that side, to actually stop the number of off licences, takeaways, whatever. But if we're going round in circles in this, maybe we need to give the evidence. It may take a while, Silvana, but it may, we need to use the evidence, and maybe we as a LAC could ask.
Yeah. Can I get Lindsey to as well.
I was just going to say, it's a really good idea. We've also got, I think it's coming up in the next couple of weeks, a street scene conference where that's what they're talking about and looking at other initiatives that have taken place and what they're doing around that. So that's certainly something we can raise in there. We're working closely with them at the moment.
Is there any further comments or questions? Can you please state your name and what area you're from? Thank you.
So I'm Matt Smith, I'm from Central. This is my first time attending a meeting. I just wanted to pick up on and agree with the comments earlier about gritting the pavement. I live up in Brumhill and obviously lots of hospitals. I don't really think it's appropriate that we say that just because affluent areas may be affluent, that people can just go and buy their own grit. Pardon? No, it's fine. Just in terms of buying your own grit, there's areas are high student population, everyone's struggling, and then those from less well-off areas will have to come to Brumhill or wherever to go to hospitals and things anyway. It was absolutely so dangerous, even for people like me. So I feel for everyone who was either on crutches, wheelchairs, elderly, everyone, and yeah. I just know that there's lots going on, and little basic priorities like that seem to have been missed in the last few weeks. Thank you. But the roads have been really well kept, so that is a positive.
Thank you very much. I live on top of the hill and I've got a few disabled our neighbours, and we have to go and get the groceries because, well, my son does because I'm going to break a hip, but it's the pavements are horrendous. I've never seen it like this and I've been here for years. Thank you. Yeah, but you know, hands on for the grits team. They've been working day and night for the services to get that across. Mark Jones.
Thank you, Chair. With regards to gritting of pavements and such, like I know for a while back there was an investigation into using quad bikes with gritters on them. The kind of more smaller utility vehicles are more appropriate for the pavements and such like. We have looked at them in the past, but we've never actually realised them. And maybe it is something we need to put to Waste and Street Scene Committee as they go forward, and we do try and actually transport as well. If we are going to go forward and we are going to try and pursue more active travel and people being out and about and using their own legs, then we need to make sure the pavements are safe under their feet for sure.
Thank you very much. Any more further comments? Margaret? We need to hear it.
Sorry. I'm Margaret Hill from Bangry Tara, and with regards to the payments, yeah, they are terrible. But it doesn't help when you have 5 litre oil canisters all over the pavement either, because the shops near me on Ellesmere Green don't have their own bins around the back of the shops. They just leave it and put it at the side of the street bins. And I think that needs looking into by whoever looks after the business licences, because surely they should have their own disposal units. And I know the actual bin lorry for those big green bins, I'm not sure what they're called, that came round today, but only emptied one. Nobody else had got anything else in. So I think we need to have it was being looked at before, but nothing ever happened of it. It's absolute terrible, the rubbish around my way. And, I mean, every shop sells a coffee. Not one's got a bin outside. And people sit on the wall, the low wall that's been put round Ellesmere Green, and you either find the cup on the wall, behind it on the grass, or on the pavement. And we've got a group of lads that go around regularly and clean it up. I don't know who they are. If I could find them, it'd be brilliant, but I can't find out who they are. But I think we need something about not just looking at the litter and the pavements, but doing it as a complete thing where, like the takeaways are looked at and warned that you have to have your own bin. And that sort of thing, make it a whole complete conversation with the shop owners. Sorry if I'm butting in too much.
Thank you very much. You're never butting into I clean around there with a group of young people, and I think the group that you're talking about, I think the SOS Sudani group, based in Ashram, and there is 6 brand new bins around, and people just sit there, and when I tell them, you know, put them in there, it's just, and they even announced it in the mosques, and they announced it in the local church as well, please, or even around, please put the cup in the bin. So we have to be working with, the ERF is working with the businesses to say, at least put a little bin outside the shops and everything like that. But yeah, I'll let Lindsey to come in, that's okay.
I was just going to say that we've got community action groups that happen every month, and they're with our service, like the like, and with other services, core services, and that's already on the action plan already, Margaret. So it were already something that had been raised, that we were trying to look at both street bins and businesses bins, and the issues around both of them, what you've just described.
Sylvana Mansell from Stubbing Tara. Just to mention, while you're looking at cutbacks, really think about the half, because that's so important to parents and children. And I don't think you realise what impact it has, that the family gets fed, they get opportunities that they would never ever get, like going on a day trip. They don't even leave Stubbing Estate, and you've gave them that opportunity, and it's had, their quality of life has definitely improved. And I think you really need to think about that one when you're looking at courts. Please don't look at the most obvious. It's really important that you give them opportunities. And I also want to ask about the land on Bellhouse Road, because no one came back to me on that one. I don't want to see another taker. I'd like to see even housing on it. If we've got a shortage of housing, why aren't we building on land that's there? And I'm sure it's council land that it belongs to. And also about the vergers, we only had them done twice last year. If you're going to look at increasing council tax, why are we paying council tax for, we're getting very little in Firth Park. And I know you think, but emphasis is at the shops at Firth Park, not emphasis on the estates. Please be very daring and come on council estates and have a look at them, because I think you forgot about us.
Thank you so much. Thank you for your comments. Lindsey?
Yes, Sylvana, I'm just going to comment on the half. So last year we substituted half because it was only, they don't pay for half terms, it's only the big holiday, school holidays. So what we actually did was substitute it with a like money and opened it out to all, more provision, more children. We're doing the same again this year if we can, but we're also trying to put a bit of pressure on, saying we still need this funding and the difference that it can make. So we'll take that back as well to say that it's been raised here, and that's another really good comment.
You do it with that unique numbers, don't you?
Yeah, we've got really good, it's made a massive difference there. Yeah, thank you. Yeah, I'll come back to you if that's all right, Sylvana, on the Bellhouse Road land. I just want to make sure we've got a full answer for you, if that's okay, if members are all right with that. And the grass vergers, I'll take that back as well.
Thank you so much. Anybody else wants to make a comment? No question? Thank you for attending the meeting tonight. The next meeting of the North East Local Area Committee will be on Thursday, 20th of February at the venue, to be confirmed. Thank you very much. Thank you, everyone.